Okay, I wanted to do this follow-up from our last tutorial number 3. I wanted to go back to the code, and you remember I had specified here that we created this property, right? We say it's non-atomic, meaning that we're going to synthesize to create the setters and getters, and I'll explain more about that in another session. But we're retaining it, so whenever we retain something, whenever we do that, we're retaining it in memory, and therefore it has what we call a +1 designation. Okay, that means that we have to release it from memory. We didn't do that at the end of the tutorial. Failed to do that. Where do we do that? Now there's two possible methods where you can release something. One is a did unload. The other one is a deallocate. In these classes here for the app delegate, we don't have a did unload because you don't unload an app delegate. You would unload, let's say, a view, or whatever it is, a view for a table view, or a picker view, or something like that. But it's in this deallocate method. What the deallocate method here says is when this application closes down and these app delegates deallocate from memory, then do something to them. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the brackets here. We're going to type another bracket here. This is how you code. I'm going to go over these two types of codings in a second. But we always release the object we created. And if you recall up here, I'm just going to go up for a second. The object is right here, underscore navigational controller. We set it because we created the object as a navigational controller as this here, right? But we renamed it because we can't use that name in code. It's restrictive. So to release it, we release this exact name here. When you type the underscore, when it come back down, I don't want to go too quickly. We're going to type the underscore. What you notice is a whole bunch of things will pop up in IntelliSense. But notice here, this variable, which is the V, it's a variable of the object we created, is what we want to release. And then we're going to type the words REL, release, which come up. This is a method, okay? So the variable has a method called the release method. We're going to close it, and we're going to place our little semicolon there. So you notice what we did right here. In one way of coding, you can create a bracket, or create the one bracket, put in the variable, and have the method operate on the variable. What this is saying, this line of code, is release, use the release method, which is a method of all objects have the ability to be released from memory. It's part of the NSO object class, which all objects come from. For this object being created, it also has the release method. Every object does. So it's saying, look, use the release method and release this variable. Alright? Pretty straightforward. Let's go up here a little bit to the coding we had placed in here as part of tutorial number 3. We have this other type of coding, which is what we call dot coding. I'm going to retype this line just for a second. Remember the self variable? The self is basically, when I told you, it's anything within that demo app delegate class. Well, you see here, it's not any specific type of object, but it's the demo app delegate class. That's what self means. We're going to type return there. Using the dot coding, we then type W for window. W for window is a property. So we've seen some things here. We've seen variables, we've seen methods, and properties. The dot type of coding works specifically with properties. We're going to type return. Then we're going to type another dot or period, and the R here for root view controller. That's also a property. So The root view controller is a property of the window, which is a property of the demo app delegate, saying right here in this line, take the root view controller, which is a property of the window, which belongs to the demo app delegate, and set it equal to, again, the self, which is part of the, we're going to go back, there it is, the demo app delegate, and set it equal to the navigational controller, which is indeed a property of the self. Okay? Now, we can't have both of these lines in here, but for the sake of coding, I wanted to show you that. Okay. Down at the bottom, you see a combination of this. I'm going to go to this code here. Again, the self is part of the demo app delegate. The window property is part of that. And then we're using a method called make key invisible. So it says take the window property and make it visible with that method. And the method will actually make it visible with that method. There's another method called the make key window. And when you learn what these methods do, then you know how to use them. For now, we're not worried about the make key window one. But so anytime you have brackets around something like this, you have a method. And the method, look at the color of the method. The method here happens to be a deep or dark purple, if you can see this. The self is part of the actual class. These blue colors here are properties. And this is a property as well, the root view controller. It's a different color property. It's a purplish color property. But what it really means is it's a sub-property of it. Let's go back into our hierarchy. I don't know if I did this in the last one here, but you notice we have the methods here, right? And you notice we have the variables and the objects that have been created, and of course the demo app delegate. So just to finish this off quickly, coding can be done in two ways. If you have properties, the dot form is used. A property is used as a dot by using that. When you have a method, the method is always a space and then the method and then brackets. So you're having the method, basically the method's being called by the property. Alright? Okay, and that's really it. So we're going to just run this again as a final follow-up here to show you that it will work. If we didn't have that release in there, we would have what is known as a leak. Okay? I'm just going to let it go here, and there we go. Here's our demo app. I'm going to close it down for a second, and I'm going to show you one final thing here. Quickly close out this session, this follow-up. I am going to just quote that out for a minute, and I'm going to go to, let's see, under product here, I'm going to analyze this. And if we're right, let's see what, oh, the analyze says there's no issues. Are they? Okay, well, the analyze says there's no issue. Typically, you'll get an issue here because you haven't released the navigational controller. But that is a way of, if you ever want to do that, is to see if you have any problems with your code. Some of them may not immediately come up in code. In any event, I'll see you next time, and that's it for the follow-up. Take care.